It's been a decade only already, would you believe it? 10 years of us really uplifting and creating normal life for for orphans, All we do is try all means necessary to normalize the life that orphans get to live.
Welcome to In Conversation with Koketso Mapulelo, a place where we have conversations about, do we really want to talk about it? Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be with Sicelo, and we're going to continue talking about the art of becoming. This guest is a really special one, mainly because I met him years ago. And he's also the first guy. That's why he's a special guest. He's the first man that I'm interviewing today, that I'm having a conversation with. I just thought that it would be great to have a different kind of perspective, since a lot of the people who get to talk about stuff are women, and not a lot of men are ever really given a chance or the space to really talk and to share, their experiences. And at the end of the day, we don't live in a world on our own. So today we have Sicelo Mbonani. Mbonambi. Sicelo Mbonani. And we met many years ago at 702. I think I was doing like the heroes, right? 702 or 947 heroes. You were the hero of a month. I don't know if it was July, and I wrote an article about you. Well, I didn't do justice. Please introduce yourself and let's start.
Hello, everybody watching In Conversation with Koketsu. And I feel very special to be the first guy. I know that my name.
Thank you.
No, record on my name. That's a good thing. Yeah, but I'm happy to be here. I was drawn to the concept when you explained it to me, and I thought, hey, I would love to share the journey of becoming, and it was a difficult one to decide when we'll get to that. So we met very long time ago. During that time, I was deeply involved in social development, particularly with the focus of developing the township. I still have a great passion and devoted to there. Believe you me, I'm still a resident of a township when I could afford to be in the suburbs, but because this plays a huge role for me to be present in the space I want to develop. So I'm just a simple guy who loves people, who loves to see change, who loves to see development among the blacks and in their life. So I do that every day of my life. Everything I've touched, there's per work, there's always been aligned with making sure that our nation becomes better, the people become better, and our environment ultimately becoming better. Just for because I have one ambition really, and is to make a black child believe. Once I could achieve that, by the time I die, I would have lived a good life.
Is this what you? Okay, now let's get back. A good life. I think you're already living a good life. You're already doing so much, and you actually also didn't mention your. There's this initiative that you do in December, like every December since I've known you. That has, I don't know the name, so please tell us the name, but I know it has got something to do with kids, orphans mainly. Yes, so please share that a bit.
Yes. It's been a decade only already, would you believe it? 10 years of us really uplifting and creating normal life for orphans, All we do is try all means necessary to normalize the life that orphans get to live. You'd understand after losing your parent and being put in a house with full of strangers, your life becomes abnormal from that day. But we want to realign that and make you as normal as possible, bring normality into your life so that you can integrate back into society as an adult. So, as part of that, we have a flagship program that we run called Dress and Orphan.
Dress and yes.
Yes. It runs every festive season of the year, and aim is to ensure that we give the same feeling, the same composure and everything for kids. You know, kids, it's important for them to look a certain way in Christmas. And I remember when I didn't have clothes for Christmas, I would not leave my house. It will not be Christmas, you know. And I knew that if anything, we need to also make sure that those kids will laugh from that day and have parents packing new clothes, you know, because commonly at orphanages you receive hand-me-downs, but we're particular with this campaign to make sure that they only receive brand new clothes. You know, it has to be brand new so that we give them that sense of ownership to say, this has been mine from when it was new. So we celebrated 10 years and it's been going well.
Congratulations.
Looking and for the more eight.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
This is such beautiful work. Like, I don't know. I don't know who knows about you, but if you can also share a link, if you have a link somewhere that I can share with the people who will be viewing this. Because anyway, we don't know who's gonna see this. So, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Your CV just goes on and on. And you're doing really great work. For a man also, I don't know if that is offensive to say, but like you don't see a lot. You don't see a lot, or maybe it's society we don't really expect to see men actually doing such beautiful hard work. Um, it's not very common, right? And like from the time that I met you and I've known the initiatives that you have been like undergoing, that you've been doing and that you've been a part of, it's just like amazing. It kind of did like change the way I view men, like young Black men. Um, and yeah, I can't wait to hear what you have to share with us today.
Definitely, you know, it's not offensive, but it's a necessary conversation that is required in this country, you know, in the world per se. I honestly don't think there's a room for men to be anything besides what women do not want them to be, you know.
What do you
In
mean?
the society, the patriarchy, they cry of patriarchy, but they don't want feminine men. They don't want soft men. They don't want men who are not patriarchal, but they cry of that. So to me, it's also confusing that how do you publicly have an outcry about patriarchy, but don't support things that are anti-patriarchy? You know, if a father, as we're gonna be speaking about the journey of becoming a father, you know, when you show up as a father, you get shocks and criticism, and you know, people don't believe that you can change diapers and all those things, and they don't accept that you do that because you should be patriarchal. But that's this very system they are fighting and they are talking against, but they still promote it. You know, when I had a conversation once with some other guy, he made me realize how much matriarchy has contributed to the significance of patriarchy. And it's something that we as a community must talk about because really, whether we like it or not, I don't know who's sponsoring this, but there is a gender war that exists in our countries, you know, and that has to come to an end at some point.
Mm.
You know, it has to come to an end at some point because it would not help us get ahead, you know. For instance, just the car. In South Africa, uh, we had a Me Too campaign and the national shutdown
Yeah.
led by women. What was very shocking is that they didn't want presence of men.
Oh, was that explicitly said?
Yes, you know, it was shocking to me that, and their reasoning is we don't want perpetrators amongst us, but not every man is a perpetrator. And why don't you want to show the beauty of companion between the good men and the good women, still fighting for the cause together, you know? So there has to be a balance. When women talk about women issues, there has to be men in that room, similarly to men who have men conference without women. we are losing out because we are not getting the gist of everything and making sure that there's a balanced society. Maybe the other company that offers telecommunication services didn't do a great job by taking the girl child only to work.
Ah, you reminded me of a different interview that I had before yours, actually, and that is exactly what we ended up talking about. So let me not let me not touch on it, but it's really beautiful um to hear that. And as you're speaking, I'm also thinking about, some questions that obviously people might be asking to be like, well, I've been through this, and the Me Too campaign, I wouldn't have wanted to walk next to a man because of this, whatever reason a person would have. Do you not think that sometimes, even though, like you're saying, and I do agree with the part that, yes, at times we do need to come together and build each other, right? However, there are also times where certain things need to be done separately in order to kind of have a foundation on, both ends. Because I can't, like you're just saying now that we cry about how we are fighting men who are like this and who are like that, but also at the same time, we do not create, or there is no platform where they get to speak to. If there is no space like that, I don't see how in certain situations having or wanting a man to be vulnerable, giving space to also women be in that same room. I do not think that a lot of men would really open up as much given the society that we actually have, not just in South Africa, but across nations where still a man would not want to talk, because why would I want to talk when I know that they're gonna be saying things like I'm not man enough, or it's like a battle between I want you to be soft, but I don't want you to be soft. You know, yeah, I again, yeah. Well, do you have anything to say about that, or?
I think there's validity in what you're saying. I mean, if a woman was raped by men, she might be very sensitive to be around men.
Mm,
But just like I always direct the question back to them, if you say men are rapists, are you saying your son is a rapist? Are you saying your father is a rapist? And when you bring it closer to home, they realize that they actually are good men. And if not, they are contributing to the rapist, because if you're saying your child is a rapist, a 3-year-old son is a rapist, but you're saying you are also contributing to creating a rapist. So we must be able to always bring the concept closer to home, because I've been that by women in few things in my life. But I cannot think they are not great women. I'm surrounded by a lot of great women. My mother, my late mother was. My grandmother is the amazing queen,
yes,
I've never seen such
exactly.
a
Heard you say that many times. About your grandmother, that is.
she's amazing. There are a lot of other women. Sorry?
Now, I'm saying about your grandmother. I've heard a lot about what you've had to say about your grandma, like many times, and it is very cool to see.
Half of my life. Yes, she made me. She's part of my life. So I can, as a man, speak of the women that have undone me and the great women my grandmother is in
Mm.
one room, in the same speech, because it's what our society is made up of, and we need to be able to speak about everything and make sure that we are balancing it out in a way. For instance, every year on 1 May, I attend a men's seminar at my church. It's all men who are not abusive, but the main topic there is about abusive men.
So you guys do have these conversations.
Do they keep? We do, but unfortunately, there are no abusers amongst us at that time. So it's like preaching to the converted. There's no impact. We cannot say those conversations each and every year. For the past 20 years, I've been attending them. They are making an impact in society, because we are not reaching out to the abusive man. We are not reaching out to the addicted man. We're not reaching out to the criminal. We're not doing so many things. The concept of enclosed conversation and closed circuit is not going to solve anything. whether be it women only or men only or a certain class of men only or certain class of men. I don't think it's a way to go about making sure that we bring about balance in South Africa and in the entire world in terms of the gender balance in a way, for a lack of better word. You need to show care with each other, to love each other, In South Africa, you might have heard a recent incident, Olirato was murdered and so in love there, and everybody was alarmed in social media and everywhere. They say we can't go to date anymore. And I kept on saying one thing. I refuse to live in a world where I expect the worst of people. I refuse to think the majority of society, the majority of people are bad. And I think that's where we need to start to expect good so that we can attract good. The universal rule applies. We must, so that we can, the ones who are bad will obviously be upskated if we focus so much and are proudly speaking so much about goodness and good people and good things that are happening. Because what are we going to do now? Not go out on dates because everybody meets somebody as a stranger.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yes, it's unfortunate. Precautionary things that can be done to prevent harm and all of that. But in the main sense, imagine as a guy who one thing wants me to marry. I go out thinking of the worst thing that a woman has done to me and reflecting it on every woman I see. Do you think I'll have a comfortable life, a peaceful life? I'll live my life on God. That cannot be our life. I refuse profusely so to expect the worst out of people. The ones who are gonna do bad, they're gonna do bad anyway. I would not expect anything bad from theirs.
How did you get here? Like, please tell me how you became this man, how you became this man. Because honestly speaking, I want to know. Well, since we're also speaking about the art of becoming, if you can think back, what do you think was different for you compared to some of your peers that you know, or just in general? How did you become this Sicelo?
So it goes back to when I was 13. Fortunate enough, there's a day that the becoming began, for me. Uh, Before then, I wanted to be a criminal. I honestly wanted to be a criminal.
Wait, hold on, hold on.
Yes.
When you were 14, right? Or just before you turned 14 or around that time, you wanted to become a criminal.
At about 9, 10 years old, I was already exposed to criminal lifestyle. I saw my uncle was a criminal. This was the guy who came back with money and would give me lunch money for school. 20 rand, 50 bucks. That was that time.
Oh, years ago,
And
20
I
rand.
also loved
That's a lot of money.
and it's a lot of money. I mean, now that would be probably an equivalent
Yeah, now
of
it's
giving a public school 200 bucks, to go to school on any day, So I fell in love. I was in love with my uncle. Was a good person in society, respected elders, lived by principle, but still was taking from somebody to provide for himself and for us, you know? So I neglected the bed because there was good in the bed, And I wanted to be a criminal. If I, if the age 13, if that didn't happen, I would have never became anything other than a criminal, You probably would have known me unless I was taking your car or something of that sort, But on there, when I was 13, when I was 13, my mother took me to her workplace. She was working for an events company at that time. So the company managed events for very elite people, rich people. And I wasn't requested to come, but my mom said, "Hey, let's go. If they see you work, and then maybe they'll call you again, whatever, because you like this, So then it came, so some always asking me. I don't like things anymore. That was a childhood thing. And then we went with my mom all the way to her company she worked for, and then I helped whoever could help. But something happened there. I was assigned to waiter about 10 people, in a table. And I was only to leave the table if I was going to get a drink or taking back something that was distracting their table. But that gave me insight into their conversation. And this was a party. People were talking about connections, money, opportunities, you know, their business and that business. And I was amused, say, we don't party like this in the township. What is happening here? On top of that, there's tropical and R&B music playing on the bed. I'm like, what is happening? Is this the party? Is this a party? But something struck with me on that day, and I fell in love with that setup, with that lifestyle. I wanted to know more. Who are these people? What are they? They're kids. I could see the confidence in young kids playing. Not to mention the beautiful, amazing cars that were outside. You could tell. And then I asked my boss, "What are these people? These are either businessmen, director, politician, and all of those things." And my life began there to change because when I came back to township, I hated the life in township. Now that's important because I don't think you can become anything before you let go of something. So I needed to fall in love with the life in the north. And then I needed to hate the life in the township. And I hated it, but I was in a further deeper mess because I hating this, I'm liking this, but I don't have access to what I love. I know nothing of what I love. Guess what I started doing? The one thing I was sure of, the kind of music they were listening to. So I started listening to R&B and classical music, because that's what was playing there. My friends were like, what are you doing now? Why are you putting, but we had two boxes at that time. I went to the people that picked R&B. There's only one CD for R&B. Over two box. It is picking, hey, this generation is making out on a lot. You know, so I put a, I put a an R&B song there, and my friends are like, "What's boring? Why are you doing this? So boring. What's going on?" But they didn't know that I wanted to divorce my former self and marry the new aspirational person I wanted to become. I started asking more questions and more questions. Asked my mom's boss to expose me more, took me to the houses. The first house was small. The guy had a garage 4 times my yard, no, with over 40 cars in it. And I needed to see that actually you can make money without being a criminal. That was my first point, and it was the first time I went to the north, by the way, since I was born until that age. And I realized that uh, people I think are successful, the criminals, the gangsters who've got the girl, the cars, and in their houses, they were staying at home. I don't know why. But yes, they had those two things that were lucrative in our eyes as young boys, and we wanted to be like them. But there was even better, and you could attain it by living an honest life. I was so from that day I kept on learning, I kept on improving myself, I kept on asking for opportunities each and every time I could. I kept on knocking on different doors, creating some of the opportunities for myself. And yeah, that was the start of where I am, where I'm still. I don't think the journey of becoming is ever finished. Last struggle become,
That is true.
you know.
So wait, Stella,
So yes,
how do you, so one, like, as I'm listening to what you're saying right now, I'm like, okay, so someone would be like, what do you mean you hated the township then, but you still live in the like in the townships? Um, that's like a controversy already as it is. And then also the shift. How did you not end up hating what you saw? Because I know a lot of us have always had that they have this because, as we all know, as the world knows, apartheid was this and this and that. You know, like a lot of us have had that they have this because they've always been privileged. And that has been one of the things in many different ways. Of course, it has been valid, but it has also held back a lot of people to be like, you don't want to move forward to, you know, not be the kind of person who hates what you see and actually work and move towards what you see. You know, there are many things that have been put, systems that have really been put to really block us as Black people to move forward in South Africa, and they still are very prevalent today. So how would you then be like, how did you have that shift in the way that you did, which honestly is beautiful, to not be like, I'm resentful of this, that you have this and you have all these things? What happened and where?
So I had to think a lot. I had to continue getting exposure a lot, you know? And one of the events that is responsible for what you're asking me was getting exposed to Soweto, particularly in Pinville, where I saw the potential of what a township could be. You know, in Pinville Zone 6, there's double stories there, beautiful double stories that could stand in hot hill, you know? And I saw that, I saw that it is possible. I saw UJ in the midst of the township.
Yeah.
And I knew it was possible. And I knew that, I always anti guys who say, as soon as you can, leave the township. Because we are assuming that people who need to be left in the township. Because there is no suburb that can take all of us. So I've been a conscious person. I've never wanted to be successful to be better than somebody. I wanted to be successful so that I can enjoy life with the people I love. Now I love the people in the township, even if I hated the township. So there was no way I would essentially have capacity to move everybody I love out of the township.
Yeah.
That's not a possibility. But we can make it better. And I started thinking along those lines that how do I then make it better? And one of those things is stay. In Soweto, young boys wake up to a neighbor who drives a Porsche Carrera, a Porsche Cayenne, a young man who's driving an expensive car, a Ferrari, a young man who's working diligently as a lawyer and is making it and he's still there. They're that fortunate part in their life to be. Environment is everything. Environment is everything, and inspiration has to be relatable. I've run township engineers network of bringing the successful entrepreneurs into the township, and I now and again said I will never bring Petrus Mutsipe to the township because people and the township people are far off. There's no relatability. After he's left the room,
I've never really known where Petros Mutsipa lives, actually, or which area, which part of South Africa he's in. The way I've just not been as interested. But
probably in the Cape Town, no? Or somewhere in St. Kitts, but definitely not in the country.
yes.
No? So that's the thing. And I would tell my team that he would not be relatable. Everybody we get to share their success story, they must be relatable in a way that the entrepreneurs in the room must see themselves in him. If you put Petrus Mutsipe township with new farmer entrepreneurs, all they're gonna see is opportunities that Mutsipe had that they did not
They
have.
didn't have. Yeah.
So by the time you walk out, you think Mutsipe is special, and that's why it's where it is. But if you bring them somebody relatable, somebody from another country, somebody doing it, somebody picked up, somebody they know, somebody they've heard of, somebody they see, somebody in almost similar level of capability, then you're empowering them to say, he's not different than you.
Oh my gosh, that is.
And if I needed to say that mistake better, if I needed to say that message better, I could not do it from the Sabbath.